Instagram.
Here, let me try something.
Okay, we're live on YouTube.
I think I just have it on.
We're live on YouTube.
We're live on YouTube.
Wow, I like it. It's really well framed for you on YouTube. So well done.
Thank you, YouTube. Even though I'm gonna be download Chrome.
Wait, did you literally download it just now?
No, I have Chrome on there already. I just
okay.
never use it. I prefer Safari.
What's wrong with you? Chrome gang for life.
Chrome gang.
I want the Google to.
So Instagram didn't work?
He's pulling it up right now. He's checking the mic settings.
So what is the title of this?
What can Yang do for
Okay.
veterans?
Yes, today we're talking about what Andrew Yang can do for veterans' well-being. So he actually has like a lot of topics on veterans, so much so that we would have to split it into two different workshops. So today we're talking about what he can do for like veteran employment, the Every Veteran Under a Roof initiative, and reverse boot camp. But there are other policies that deal with like the VA, veteran suicide, like kind of more of the health.
And I'm glad you guys are doing this because Monday is Veteran Day.
Yes,
Happy
tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
today is
happy Veterans Day.
and happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps,
Amen.
our sister Brain.
Tanner, you are our special guest today.
Thank you.
Could you introduce us and talk a little about yourself?
Yeah, I also mentioned your house run.
Oh yeah, my name is Tanner Doe. I'm a candidate running for Texas 3rd Congressional District, and I'm a combat veteran serving with the 82nd Airborne. I served in Korea and in Iraq. So I'm glad to be here to talk about Andrew Yang's policy on veteran, and I appreciate any candidate who take initiative to talk about these issues because we need a lot of help in our community. And what he's talking about really touched true to my heart and what I was concerned about at the same time.
Well, thank you for being here. Also,
No problem.
happy early Veterans Day to you.
Thank you.
for your service.
Yeah. And hopefully, we observed that recently there's a lot of veterans for Yang in the streams and here in Texas. So if anyone wants to comment as a veteran, we'll be watching the feeds to see if anyone's
Trying to get the Instagram up.
Oh. So anyways, Kennedy, I'm going to let you kind of drive the conversation, but the goal of this workshop is to answer the question. What question are we answering today?
Today we're answering what Andrew Yang can do for veteran well-being. And I would like to say I'm not a veteran, but everyone in my family is. My mother was in the Army and my grandfather was in the Air Force and he served in Vietnam. I'm actually the first person in like 4 generations to not have served in the military. So like I have seen my grandfather deal with a lot of the issues and my mom too that we'll be talking about today. So let's jump right into it. Andrew Yang once said that he heard a veteran say, "It's not that employers just aren't pro-veteran, they're actually looking for reasons to say no and rule you out because they think you're damaged goods." There's a big prejudice among Americans that think veterans suffer from severe mental health issues like all veterans do, but actually that number is much smaller. Andrew Yang's not saying we don't need to help those people, that's just a different set of policies. But there's generally a bias against veterans, especially in employment and businesses. Mentorship programs such as the American Corporate Partners or the Texas Workforce Committee do great work at matching veterans with mentors or employers to help them find new careers. But the truth is that a lot of veterans don't know how to find fulfilling and stable careers. They don't know how to write resumes or interview well. And they need, it would be helped by like a government database that contains a list of in-demand skills and professions that people can match veterans to. But also businesses need more incentives to hire veterans. And veteran-run businesses don't have very many resources provided to them. And this is especially hard because if you come back from tour and you try to start a business, you're 4, 8, 12 years behind anyone else who's trying to start your business while you were on tour. And so it's much harder for veterans to start the businesses that they want to. And I understand you worked on the Texas Workforce Committee, so do you have anything to say on that?
I mean, what are you saying up here about the first one is it's not that the employers aren't just pro-veteran, they're looking for a reason not to hire veterans because they think that we're crazy, that, we're unstable, we can't go up any moment. And so that's the reason why. And the second thing is most veterans, when they come back, they don't know how to translate what they're doing in the service into a civilian lingo. And so a lot of time they are frustrated and they don't know how to actually write a resume that will help them get in a job. And there is an incentive actually for companies to hire veterans. They will get like $2,200 tax deductible,
Okay.
I believe, for their company. And so there is an incentive going on there. But the thing is, a lot of them seeing us more as a risk factor than
Reliability.
yeah, a liability than somebody who can actually contribute to our community. And with the technologies coming up in the future, a lot of veterans, what we do in the military, especially as an infantryman, right? We don't really deal with technology. We basically on the ground, doing everything but the technology part. I mean, there is technology in what we do, like with the radar and navigation system stuff, but we need to help them utilize their skill and hone in and transfer those skill into the workforce. And really, more or less, it's just educate employers the benefit of hiring veterans and giving us a sense of reason, like a purpose. That's also go hand in hand back to the 22 veterans commit suicide day, because once they get out of the military, they don't have a sense of purpose anymore. They feel like they don't know what to do with their life, and partly it's hard to find a job. Some of them go into a divorce, have to pay child care, and so that's something that we really need. And right now, the VA mental health, they have shortage of psychiatrists working for them. And so they don't have the capability to see every veteran at the rate that they should be. And that's something that we need to invest into more, is giving veterans an ability to go see mental health outside of the VA for help. So that way it'd be a lot quicker for them than waiting to see a mental health provider from the VA. And so.
Thank you. So the next one that we're going to talk about is Andrew Yang's Every Vet Under a Roof initiative. Veterans are disproportionately affected by homelessness, and there's a lot of chronic and situational reasons for homelessness.
And what's the name of this policy?
Every Vet Under a Roof initiative.
Gotcha. So if you go to yang2020.com/policies, if you want to follow along with what she's reading, you can find it under Every Veteran Under a Roof
Initiative. Yeah.
Initiative.
And you should have a specific drop down for veteran policies. And so if you're curious for all of the healthcare policies that Andrew Yang has, you can also go on there to find them. But although there are different reasons for homelessness, chronic homelessness is usually related to physical and mental health issues. And so again, that would be part of helping the DA get the resources it needs to help veterans get the help that they need. But also many veterans, I shouldn't say most, many veterans don't adjust to civilian life well, especially once they get right back from tour. There's also currently no people doing a census of issues that are affecting homeless veterans. So no medical professionals know what are the main health factors that are contributing to chronic homelessness. They have good guesses, but since they're not getting the help, no one knows exactly what they need to be doing. There are few, if any, programs that help veterans with employment, financial literacy, or general life skills. This includes teaching them how to save up for a down payment for a house or security deposits for anything. And we also need to expand affordable housing options, including teaming up with tiny homes in the Veterans Community Project, which are both ways that we can efficiently provide veterans with, a roof to stay under and a very functioning household.
I mean, that's also a thing that what our government need to working on as well as with the military is, when people join the military, they deprogram you, right? And they build you up into a fighting machine, right? And so when people are being deprogrammed and into the system, but when they get out of the military doesn't give the tool or make you go to a transition where they, basically put you back into the civilian side. and that's where the
Reverse
problem.
boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So that's
actually
what the
nice
reverse
policy.
boot camp is to help them adjust to civilian side. A lot of them, because they've been to combat, they see what's going on out there, and when they come back, they hear a civilian whine, complaints about little things in life where there are actually bigger things out there that they're fighting for, and it's frustrating them. And so we need to basically help the veterans make the transition into the civilian sector better, and that means working with the Department of Defense at the same time to help make the transition. There is a transition called ACAP in the Army. When we get out, we have to go through that program, but it's so many soldiers. I mean, we got like 30 days to do it, but during that time, we have to go through so many things. We have to go be sure our medical record are up to date. We have to make sure we check. We have to do our uniform, turn in. And there's a lot of things that the veterans are doing, especially the one that has been deployed. There are veterans who deploy and come back and ETS like a month later. So there was not really enough transition time from a war into a civilian within a month time frame. And so that is something that we need to do better as a government to help. And I'm glad that, have somebody who's going to be our commander in chief who understand that aspect of the military.
And from what I understand, when you're saying that, it's like hard for veterans to hear civilians say like, "Oh, my life is over because like gas prices went up," and like they've seen things overseas that are like unimaginable. And so what I understand is that it's really hard for them to like say that and like talk it out and try to make people understand without being
upset.
Yeah, without like falling into that bias of like the crazy veteran with PTSD.
Because I think especially in the infantry community like I am, we're very straight to the point, right? It's like point A, it's just cut to the chase, and none of this like, let's sit down and touch about your touchy feeling and work it out. We know what we want to do, and we know our objective, we know what we need to accomplish, and we move on. And I think when veterans get out into the civilian side and they see how people interact, they get a little frustrated because it's so clear that all you have to do is do that, and then you complete that, and what people can seem to figure it out. Also, we need to encourage them to go get use their education, the GI Bill, because right now there's a shortage in engineering. And so a lot of them are very smart that can go to school and get an engineering degree and be very successful, especially with the technology age coming up in the future. And so.
Did you use your GI benefits at all? Like, did you go to college?
I joined to let the military pay for my school.
Okay. What did you degree in?
Business.
Okay, very cool.
Texas A&M.
So the last policy is Andrew Yang's reverse boot camp, which we kind of touched on. It mainly would just help veterans adjust to life after service, because a lot of them have problems being on like a self-directed schedule or finding a new career. But especially if you like joined at 18 and then you went on so many tours, it's like you may not understand things like grocery shopping or cooking or like creating a personal budget because you just haven't had to do that. And for a lot of people, like if you go in at 18 and you serve like 3 tours and you come out and you're 30 and people are like, "Oh, you should know how to create a resume. You should know how to interview or like handle your bank statements." And like when you just haven't had to do that and there's no resources left for you. And also that leads to many veterans being preyed on by like payday lenders and predatory businesses like that because they just haven't had to deal with it before. So a reverse group camp with like group classes and individual consultants that would last longer than 30 days, and also private sector experts to ensure all veterans are equipped and successful to transition to civilian life would help a lot of people, and especially like future veterans once they get out of service to.
I mean, a lot of them want to get out of the military, they're injured. The back hurt, the knees hurt. They have a lot of medical conditions, especially for the infantry community. I mean, you carry a rucksack like between 60 pounds to 80 pounds. You jump around an airplane. Yeah, and you jump around the airplane, you land on. So you trip over, so there's all sorts of things that people don't really think about what a soldiers are going through. And so we need to do better to help people understand that and help taking care of our veterans. And sometimes, like, even in the work industry, a lot of times veterans just want to be left alone to do their job. And then all this company politics, and they're not used to that. And so that's frustrating them. And that's why
Civilian life can learn from the military to keep that type of.
Yeah, I mean, in the military, there's a structure that we've been trained to do. And so any company that hiring a veteran, they're very lucky because they know the veterans already know what to expect of them, what they need to do, and it's going to follow it. And my company that I work for, luckily that they have a very good veterans group support out that in the companies, and that we are there to support veterans. We're there to help veterans out when they need them. And then there's somebody in the community that's like a homeless veterans that get evicted from the house. We will be there to help them move and find temporary housing or a solution for them.
So whenever they are going through their debriefing, coming back from work, what is their time frame? Like how long do they go through that process?
About a month.
It's about a solid month.
So you go to like a resume writing class, but in a classroom we have about 50 people in there, and it's just like a crash course, right? It's just like they just touch like barely on the surface. They don't really talk about what your job in the military translate into a civilian. Because like when I get out and I talk to my career counselor, he was like, well, you're an infantryman. You ever thought about being a cop? I'm like, is that the only thing I'm qualified for? Is that what you're trying to tell me? So, they need to give veterans an option and teach them, like, let's sit down and talk about what did you do in the military? What did you do before you joined the military? What are you wanting to do in your life, in your career, that now that you're done serving? And those are the things that we really need to work with the DoD to making sure that the transition is going to be smoothly for the next chapter of their life.
So what I was looking at was actors, whenever they do a long role, it's like a strenuous role, they actually do what they call de-rolling, which is like trying to like get away from their role. But it's a lot different because when a soldier comes back, they're actually being put into like a class to re-assimilate into the world, while the actor is just trying to decompress from the role, which is about a month time frame. So I mean, that right there is just showing like, if it takes someone's playing a role while someone's really experiencing the issue, I mean, that actor is getting a lot more of a leeway time to really truly decompress while they're being put in the classroom. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, there was really no decompression time for.
Yeah, that's a really interesting analogy. The concept of an actor detaching from the role. The amount of time he spends detaching for a month is the same amount of time that we allocate for veterans to transition. But there's no way that it's like the amount of transition required for a veteran is so different from the amount of transition required for an actor, but we treat them the same way.
But he's not getting, like, the actor's getting more of a decompression time, while the veterans being told that this is how you're going to get back into society. Like, it's not like you're being put in a classroom. That's not decompression. That's kind of crazy. Like,
so now that we've kind of depressed everyone with like all of the problems in the veteran community, we can talk about the actual policies that Andrew Yang has on his site. So I will read a couple. So the one thing he would do, and this is on the veteran employment and businesses, this would be on this policy. He would work to combat the misconception that all veterans face mental health issues that decrease their employment prospects. That's a weird way to word that. Basically, he would try to combat the bias that like all veterans suffer from immense PTSD and severe mental health issues, while simultaneously helping the people that do. He would create mentorship programs and work with businesses and nonprofits to do the same. And he would incentivize businesses to hire veterans and create programs to help with early career transitions for veterans. He would also assist veteran-run businesses in getting off the ground and in becoming successful. So do you have any critiques on those?
I noticed that that's very analogous to what Well, almost in line with what Tanner was saying at the beginning is that this combination of stigma and how they're a liability.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of them want to start their own business, believe it or not, but they just don't know how or have the resource to.
I mean, you studied business when you went to.
Mhm.
That's
But then the thing is, when we get out of the military, right, the pay that they give us
It's for school.
it's going to school, but we're not getting. It's not like we're making millions of dollars when we serve in the military and be able to save that up and start a startup company or
I see
anything
what
when
you're
we
saying.
get out. And so they don't know what to do after that. And so if we have a program where we can able to help assist them, you know, giving them the opportunity to start their own business, and that's something that's there and they work for it, they will be a positive to society more so and make our economy stronger at the same time when we do that.
Yeah, and it's something that the freedom dividend, the basic income, kind of helps toward, right? Like building capital so that you don't have to rely on just
I mean, even like
finite set of things.
when you go to Walmart now at nighttime, they have the freaking machine
Yeah.
clean
Yeah.
the floor by itself.
Right.
And everything is going to be automated. And at nighttime, like all their cash register is shut down, and it's just the self checkout was there. And truck in the future is going to probably be drive by itself to deliver objectives. So
Yeah.
we need to think outside the box. We need to think about helping them do more on the technology aspect.
Right. Let's
Oh wait,
so
I have one more thing
oh,
to add about
yeah.
that. So I think with the policy, it's also trying to like help them transition into civilian life. And one way that I think his policy supports is if they were specialized in something while they were on tour, they don't have to relicense themselves in civilian world, which I think is great. So if you were like a medic in the military, then you can come out and be an EMT. You don't have to go through all the like civilian credentialing, which I think is great because they bring so much invaluable experience that, like blood transfusions, that was like established by the military, the guidelines. So they're not just not a liability, they bring a lot of really important experience to civilian life. So to help with that transition is to allow them not have to go through all these extra recredentialing processes in civilian world.
I have more policies.
sure.
Okay, right. So more policies. The next are about homelessness. So Andrew Yang would perform a census to create a database of all homeless individuals and the driving reason for their homelessness, to understand like why they are chronically homeless. He would ensure the VHA is fully funded to provide any veteran with a physical or mental health issue preventing them from getting a job or house to be treated. He would institute an optional housing savings plan for active duty members to put money away specifically for housing upon discharge. He would help veterans get mortgages and, if necessary, defend themselves in foreclosure proceedings. Andrew Yang would invest in affordable housing options, both direct and through nonprofits, and he would implement a reverse boot camp, which is the end of service training program that would allow for veterans to learn necessary skills for civilian life and transition more easily upon returning home.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff.
That's an awesome step to take, actually, to help out the community.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do, especially since we're kind of heading towards getting closer to the 30-minute mark, so I'd like to start transitioning now to like the workshop aspect of this. And so the question of the day is, how does Andrew Yang support? What was our phrasing?
Well, this one can be this. Workshop specifically could help people saying, how could Andrew Yang help veterans, or what can Andrew Yang do for veterans? This workshop is specifically like veteran well-being, so like their livelihood, houses, homelessness. So if someone asks you a question based on any of that, this would be answers you can give them.
And so naturally, there's probably a ton of stuff. And so another thing you pointed out was that on the policy website, veterans is a whole category, right? So if you wanted to deep dive and read the letter of all the policies, you can just find that section and then read through those policies. Now, for our purposes, having identified the question and knowing that we can direct people to read the full policies, if you were to identify the top 3 most significant, or at least the most impactful thing that you could highlight when talking about veteran well-being? Of these policies, what would you say the top 3 are? And then you can comment on that and maybe Tanner, like based on what you've heard, what are the most significant to you?
As a civilian, I would say that like the reverse boot camp,
Reverse boot camp.
the like helping homeless veterans by like getting the census, and probably helping like veteran run businesses. Those would be like my main 3. You.
Yeah, the reverse boot camp is something that I would like to see too, because it helped with the transition from active duty into civilian life.
Yeah, you said right now currently they only have like a 1 month class to prepare for the civilian world. Yeah, I don't feel like that's enough.
No, it's not. And basically, what they want to do is have a stable career life after they get out. A lot of them want to get out of the military, they feel lost.
Right.
So this will help giving them a sense of direction to move on with their life and be successful. A lot of them are going through divorces and have family issues, and that's what causing them to be homelessness at the same time. And so because they get out, they join the military at 18 years old, and that's all they know. So we have to do a better job of assisting them and making sure that they are integrating to the civilian side.
Gotcha. I'm gonna restart the.
I do have 2, like we have other questions that are more like critical, sort of. So I have 2 questions to ask you, or at least one. So taking out independents, 56% of veterans are Republicans and are more likely to identify with conservative values. Do you think that veterans would be offended by these programs or like view them and the UBI as a handout? And if so,
I personally don't think this is a handout. This is something that helping our community. And the reason that 56% of them are Republican because they think that Democrats are against war. Democrats doesn't support the military. The Democrat doesn't fund a military. But when in reality, all the funding that goes through the Department of Defense will go into private contractor. It doesn't go directly into the soldier's pocket. It doesn't, like if a door at a or barracks, right? If the door breaks down, it costs $1,000 to replace that door. Where if you go out there and you buy a door, it's like $200 and you put it on and call it a day. But because of the private industry that has connection with the our government, the lobbyists, and that's what make it
The military industrial complex.
Yeah, and so that's why. If you really sit down and you break it down, like the Vietnamese community, a lot of them are Republican because they blame the Democrats for the war. They blame the Democrats for withdrawing the war in Vietnam, but they don't realize that it was done under the Republican administration. And the Democrats is coming in trying to, clean up the mess and take our troop home because the war is going way too long. And so, yeah.
I had a comment. I have a comparison with the freedom dividend and the GI benefits. So once soldiers get out, they can use their GI benefits to pay for school. GI benefits also pays for their housing. So that's somewhat of a comparison with the freedom dividend and GI benefits. So it's not really like a handout. I mean,
it's not a handout because they work for it. They earn those.
Exactly.
but if there are veterans that are Republicans, do you think they would see these programs or the UBI? And if there were some that thought it was a handout, what would you say to convince them otherwise?
I don't think that they will think this is a handout.
Really?
Because this is a very positive thing to help the community out. We're not talking about, make them go on unemployment for the rest of their lives. We're not talking about, just handing out them free stuff all the time. We're talking about giving them a hands up and giving them the opportunity to start a new life after the military. Because, when you deploy 10 times, and you're away from your family most of the time, it's stressful. And I would say about 80 to 90% of militaries are going to divorce.
Oh,
I did not know that.
That's crazy.
It's really hard on the family life. There's not a single, I have met a lot of veterans and know a lot of people that go through divorce, at least twice in their life because of the job and the impact, the sacrifice that they made. And it's, you know, they have kids and it's just, yeah. And we just need to do a better job helping them. It's not a handout.
So just to give them an idea, so whenever you're in basic training, like give us a time frame of that and when you're deployed.
Well, the basic training is 3 months for me, and then I have to stay 3 extra weeks for airborne. And once I get out of airborne, my first duty assignment was to Korea. So I have to go to Korea right away, and that'll be gone for a year. And so if you're
So you're deployed for a year.
you're stationed in Korea, some depends on the unit. Some soldiers get out basic training and they come in and they deploy right away, and basically on the job training on the battlefield right there. So it's really there's no time frame to tell. I mean, it began when between 2001 until 2010. Majority of the soldiers will get out basic training and deploy right away.
Gotcha.
So basically you're gone so in your situation, you were basically gone for 4 months, a year and 4 months, like straight, without going back to reality. And they only give you like a month to decompress. Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I do have one more question, and that's Andrew Yang's UBI that would give everyone $1,000 a month. How do you think that would help veterans?
It will help them a lot. It will help them to at least feel at ease on the, at least for the rent, at ease on the place to live. And hopefully with that will end the homelessness in the veterans community at the same time. Because when you're in the military, if you're enlisted, you live in a barracks, it's already paid for. You don't have to worry about bills or anything other than your cell phone bills or anything, car payment. And so when they get out, they don't really have that structure on paying bills and then really understand that.
Awesome.
Some questions I have. Thank you.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing all that. That's probably a lot more educational than we're used to.
I mean,
So-
yeah, right there. He just told us he hit like out of 18, like fresh out of high school, a year.
I mean,
and
like,
4
in
months. That's
in
crazy.
basic training, some of the soldiers don't even know how to write to and from, like, on an envelope.
Yeah.
They would know how to do that, or they depends on where their family background can be too. So a lot of them have a very bad families. And when time they're growing up to 18, a lot of them are probably in the foster system at the same time.
Right.
And get into the military is something for them to try to get away and serve the country at the same time, but help giving them a hands up in their life. And so when they come in, they're pretty much does not understand a lot of stuff. And if you can imagine, if you're 18, you get out basic training, you go into a combat zone, you start engaging in a firefight, and there's casualty. I mean, imagine the effects when I'm 18 years old.
Right. So we had identified 3. Sorry, I know I keep coming back to it because I want to get the workshop aspect of it in. So you had identified 3 that you felt was the most significant, which was the reverse boot camp. And what were the other 2?
Reverse boot camp, helping the homeless by like creating a census of the issues, and then like helping veterans get employed or veteran businesses kind of start from the ground up. Those are 2 that I'm kind of like on the same level at.
Career transitions.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think for me, it would be the boot camp career transition within. Well, I think we should combine the boot camp career transition into it.
As a single one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we need to really talk about mental health, or not just mental health, but healthcare in general, because not a lot of them will have healthcare condition, especially with their back and knees. I can guarantee you that.
Gotcha. So mental. And then what's the 3rd one?
I will be saying that with a small business, helping them start their own business,
Cool.
are ways to do it.
Gotcha. So we're gonna do what we typically do, which is the 1 minute explain. And then if Kenny, would you be open to going first so you can kind of show him what it typically looks like?
Yes.
And then after you get a bearing on it, maybe we'll let you give it a try.
Oh,
So the objective is to answer the question in 60 seconds.
Okay, so ask me, what would Andrew Yang do for veterans?
And someone needs, you have
Yeah,
the, let's get the timer in the third person's hands. All right, you got 1
Give
minute
yourself more
on
time.
the clock.
what would Andrew Yang do for veterans community?
Right, so first of all, I would recommend that you go to yang2020.com and see his drop-down list of policies for more information. I can tell you that one of the things that Andrew Yang is most concerned about is that when veterans get out of service, they're like wholly unprepared, not by their own fault, but they're wholly unprepared to get back into civilian life. And so one of the things he would do is institute a reverse boot camp that would teach them life skills that civilians kind of take for granted, that veterans need help learning. And then if they wanted to start a business, he would provide incentives to help veteran-run businesses grow. He would also tackle the current veterans' homelessness problem by targeting mental health and creating a census of chronic situations that put veterans in homelessness that he could help with. And all of these things he would plan on funding, especially through the VA, but also outsourcing to things like tiny homes and other charities and workspaces that are trying to help veterans as they are.
Under a minute.
Wow, all right, 53 seconds.
53 seconds.
So comment on her answer. Did you feel like she explained it very clearly? I liked that you plugged yang2020.com.
Yes.
I like that you covered the reverse boot camp first and also made a case for it. Tanner, and be honest, because again, this is a workshop, so we can improve. What are things that you liked about her answer, and what are ways that you would suggest maybe improving her answer?
Well, I like what she has to say, and especially she brought us back into the Andrew Yang's website and talking about the issues and what he's willing to do for our community.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really touched on the issues like the reverse boot camp and what we need to do to help the veterans. So I really, I
would be curious to, so there was a wording that you used there that I know we just spent a lot of time talking about, how unprepared they are. I wonder, is it appropriate to use the term wholly unprepared to return to civilian life? Or is that too hyperbole, or is that a very dramatic but realistic way to describe it?
it's a very realistic way to describe it.
I think if you use the caveat, like, not by their own fault, like, they understand you're not blaming them.
Gotcha.
It is really it's not by their own fault. I mean, it is a system. If you really think about it, it's a system that they come in, military break them down, build them up, but they never deprogram them.
Yeah. I was also just gonna add, I was like reading about the reverse boot camp. It sounds amazing just for like people, anyone. It's like adulting 101, and I would benefit from this so much.
Really, like anybody that has
Anyone would
mental,
benefit.
well, especially with mental health issues, who haven't been.
Well, maybe not even mental health issues, but just anybody who's been in an atypical life situation.
It's not even atypical, it's adulting. Like, and
It
it's hard
is.
to do because we don't learn that in our education system.
Well, yeah, and that too, when like both parents are working all the time, it's kind of hard for parents to do that to their kids.
Yeah.
If I can interject, I'm 19. I graduated high school in May of 2018, and my senior year we had to take one class. I don't know what it was called, but it basically was. Sorry, I heard Minecraft music. Anyway, it was basically that. It was like trying to teach people life skills, and no one paid attention. The teacher was totally uninterested. He was like one of the coaches that they have to have teach to like keep them at the school. And actually, Andrew Yang has a policy to help teach high school.
Yeah, teach
people.
life skills.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's what I like about him too. Is that right now in our education system, we're focusing way too much on the standardized testing.
Exactly.
But we don't
What
really
did
teach
how
them
BC
life
do
skill.
for me?
Yeah, life skill or financial stability.
Financial
Yeah.
literacy.
Literacy,
And so what I like about this is it's taking a holistic approach to what people need to know. And so the policy on teaching life skills in high school addresses, the general population, which is going through some form of public education. But then something like reverse boot camp answers the question of, okay, so this set of education is really important for people to survive in the real world, or at least civilian life. but what happens if you already graduated from high school, you just served X number of months or years in the military, and you didn't receive that, life skill education in high school. So the reverse boot camp allows you to receive that same new quality of education, even if you're already an adult and if you've already gone past the high school kind of.
Well, one thing I also really want to bring up is to for-profit university is something that needs to be stopped because they're taking advantage of our veterans community, especially the GI Bill. And a lot of veterans are going to the for-profit university thinking they're getting a degree that worth something. But when businesses or in the corporate world, when they look at that degree, it's worthless. And so it's a scam system. Yeah, and so the lobbyists of the for-profit industry, there's one who bought their special interest group to, they bought their politician to pass those to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
To keep a blind sign out of it.
So let's flip the script in a literal sense. So now she is going to ask you what Andrew Yang is going to do for veterans' well-being. And the key things are, we always like people to plug at the very top of their answer, yang2020.com, and point out that there is a whole section of his website dedicated to policies, multiple policies on veterans' well-being.
Because if you get something wrong, you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
And then within that, you have 60 seconds to highlight the most significant things about his veteran policy. And so this is the part where you, especially as a veteran yourself, get to emphasize what are the top 3 things important to you. So does that make sense? So 60 seconds, plug the website.
No pressure, right?
Things. Yeah.
I didn't realize I'm here to be put on the spot. Just
Yeah, it's like, okay, you ready?
Look at the time, I gotta go.
That's why you get 1 minute.
All right, Tanner, what would Andrew Yang do for veterans?
Well, first, I would like for you to go to Andrew Yang 2020 to check out his veteran policy. He has a whole section on it. He would like to do reverse boot camp to help veterans make a transition to civilian life, something that our DoD, Department of Defense, has failed to do with our soldier when they get out of the military. Second thing is about mental health. I like how he wants to touch about the mental health and the stigma of it, that companies are not willing to hire veterans because we're more of a liability than a positive contribution to the organization. And lastly is I like him talking about the workforce and how he want to help veterans get back into the workforce and start their own business. That is something that a lot of veterans are inspiration to be their own boss because they don't want to be around an answer to people. And so that's why, but then don't forget to go back and check on his yang2020.com so that way you can verify his information and keep his up-to-date posts and what he's willing to do for the veterans community.
All right.
Oh.
10 seconds. No, you're good. That was
Yeah, all right.
The thing is, you plugged it twice. So
right. So you could pass.
Very cool. Does anyone want to give it a try?
I'll give it a try.
All right, Tony T.
All right.
Car parts 214.
That's right.
All right, so you recording him?
Yep.
All right, ready, Tony?
Yep.
All right. Kenny's gonna ask.
Tony, what would Andrew Yang do for veterans?
So, Kenny, I'm glad you asked me that question. Andrew Yang has a lot of policies in regards to veterans. So, you can go to yang2020.com to read about it. So, I'm going to highlight 2 of his policies. One is reverse boot camp. So, whenever you are, coming back from serving, you have some time to decompress and actually realize what you had seen during the combat situation, and then slowly adjust back into civilian life. That is reverse boot camp. And he also has the gold standard of military training. So instead of having to go back into school to be a certified EMT or a medical professional, he's allowing military certified professionals to actually start working instead of having to go back into school and relearning the thing they learned in the military. That's his gold standard policy. But yeah, those are 2 that I would like to highlight. So if you want to learn more, go to yang2020.com.
Cool. 59 seconds. Okay.
So, do you know about the gold standard policy?
I looked at
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what's that policy called? Because I would want to like say the name of it so I can refer to it.
Military training, the gold standard.
And I feel like the opening paragraph sums it really well. If someone is qualified to do a job in the military, they should be qualified to do that job in the U.S.
Yeah, that's I didn't even think about that. Like, oh yeah, like you're in the military, then a lot of military people.
Yeah,
That's what
what I
Laura
was
was
saying.
saying. Like,
Yeah.
if you were a medic in the army, you should come back and be able to be
As a
an
tech-
EMT
yeah.
by going to
They're an
training.
asset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
What they
mechanic.
see- Yeah.
So what hinders that? Like the degree or what?
Research it. I mean, there's a lot of things in the United States that are
Regulatory
unnecessarily
credentialing.
research.
Yes.
Like even like in the medical field, like you have to read a certified across
Especially
state
in the-
lines. Yeah. And in this case, it's another situation where what you're certified to do in the military is different from what you're certified.
It also has to go back with the liability aspect too. And
So can I see these notes?
I
Yeah,
didn't
and I think this
know
is a
that.
perfect example of how that
Because-
experience is priceless. You know, you go through experiences that you don't get in the civilian world, like in a
You know how you can compare this to? So think of it like this: you've been working at this job, but you don't have a degree, and you can't get the job because you don't have the degree. And if you get the degree, you can't do the job because you don't have the experience.
Exactly.
So it kind of works in that way as well.
It's
You're
like a catch-22. Yeah.
So,
Well, but our veterans are an asset, and we're really grateful to what they do, and we should definitely utilize that in civilian life and not create more barriers, like decrease the
That
barriers.
policy was literally called the gold standard. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, there's another guy that
Military
I served
training,
with.
gold
They're
standard.
very hardworking.
Okay, so basically you treat the military.
Yeah.
And
You
Okay.
have experience. Like,
I think I'm ready to give this a shot. All right. Sorry, Twitter.
Here, I'll just do it. I'll just do
They'll
it.
just hold it. Okay.
Okay, Hexel,
Yes.
what can Andrew Yang do for veterans?
That's a great question, a very important question, especially for Veterans Day. The first thing I would suggest is going to yang2020.com/policies and looking at all the wide policies he has to support veterans. The top three that I would highlight is something called Reverse First Boot Camp, which would allow people transitioning from military life to learn the skills they need to survive as a civilian. The second thing that he wants to do, which is very unique, is something called treating military training as a gold standard, which means something that you're certified to do in the military, whether it's a technician, a medic, or an engineer, that certification should carry over into what you want to do stateside. And then the last thing is doing something about the disproportionate homelessness among veterans. And so working with community projects and tiny homes to make sure that our veterans aren't living on the streets. So to learn more about all of that, visit yang2020.com.
right there, 55 seconds. That's pretty
I
much.
like that you said how to survive in civilian life. You made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have comments on that? Would you critique that or improve on that in any way? Cool.
Do you want to plug your
You're being too
radio?
nice.
All right. Well, that's a lot of stuff, and thank you so much, Tanner.
thank you for having me.
joining us. I was gonna give props to Kennedy for putting these notes together. Thank you, Adrian, Laura, Kennedy, and Tony. Just general direction for being here. So we have some things to plug. Tanner, why don't you plug your house race?
I'm running for Congress in the 3rd District, challenging a Republican. And 2020 will be 52 years, and this county is very red, and I need a lot of support. So you can visit tannerdo2020.com for more information about my site. It's Tanner, TANNER, DO2020.com. And also feel free to reach out to me via email or information on the website.
What's the cities that your district covers?
I'm running in Texas 3rd as Plano, Richardson, Northern Richardson, Liberty, Murphy, Allen, McKinney, and part of Frisco.
Gotcha. So if you live in any of those cities, definitely check his website out. Learn more about Tanner.
Look at my Facebook, Tanner Do for Congress site, and like my page, and make sure to let other people know about me, so that way we can win this.
Yes.
Right.
All right. And then we have a very, very special.
Let me plug mine.
Okay,
So,
sure.
speaking of Collin County,
Oh, yeah.
where Tanner, you can see him on the ballot. We have a Collin County Somerville Coffee Social. We do it at 5th Street Pizza every Thursday. So that's starting at 7 to 9. So if you have any questions on it, go to Collin County for Yang on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we plug those events there and on Mobilize Us.
Oh, Collin County is a battleground for Texas to turn Texas blue.
Yeah.
So
Very important.
help us win this district and help us flip this district turn blue, and
the state-
Texas will be blue. So
We had a lot of people show up to our meetup last Thursday, so looks like we're gonna do something, make some noise.
Yeah. So definitely show up. I mean, I was so excited to see that big turnout in Collin County. All right. So for the 5 people on YouTube, the 1 person on Ultimate Curly just joined, just in time to hear our big announcement. And I don't know if it says how many people on Twitter. So you'll want to go to DallasYangGang.com because Andrew Yang is coming to Dallas December 6th. December 6th, mark your calendars. Andrew Yang is coming. We're still we're wrapping up our social media blast package, but you can already go to DallasYangGang.com. It has the date and the time details there. And what I need everybody to do is go to DallasYangGang.com and pre-sign up. So put your name and email there so we can count the interest, because we're trying to get 2,000 people to early sign up so that we can know how many people are coming and we can use that information to book a bigger venue. Because they're already, here's the goal. The HQ is only expecting not only expecting, they're expecting 1,000 people to show up. But we firmly believe that with a state like Texas,
we
with all
can
the
get more than
supporters,
1,000.
we want to get 2,000.
Yeah.
So we need 2,000 people to go on DallasYangGang.com and put in their name and email so that we can show HQ that we're ready for a 2,000 person rally here in Dallas, Texas, and really across the state of Texas and Oklahoma City and Shreveport and Little Rock. So tell your friends, post about it online, share the website, DallasYangGang.com. Let's get the word out there, and I look forward to seeing you all in December.
So 2020.
No, 2019.
No, I'm just saying, but we want 2020 for 2020.
Us.
Just being cheesy.
So December 6th. December 6th. Sign up right now.
It takes 1 minute.
2 seconds.
You can do it on your phone, on the computer. DallasYangGang.com. I can't say it enough. And that's an early sign up, right? That's non-binding. So if you're even just thinking about going, like you're not sure yet, still fill out the form so that we know that that's how many people would come down if they can.
Yeah.
So
and this is big. Like if we get like a big old group of people like that in little red Dallas, like that's really gonna make news. Like, oh man, 2,000 people show up to an Andrew Yang rally in Dallas. Think about it.
Yeah. So the only reason you haven't seen it on social media yet is because we're still working on our social media packet. So we've already updated the website, but we'll soon have a hashtag. We'll soon have a lot more kind of stuff for you to share and blast on social media. So that's is there anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, we're good.
All right. Oh yeah, actually
We're
we're gonna tomorrow is Monday. Who's meeting on Monday? Denton Yang Gang is meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Is UTD meeting? No.
where it's like,
UTD's on break. But who else? Collin County is on Thursday, 7 o'clock, 5th Street Pizza.
text banking Wednesday at the Panera.
Yeah, text banking at the Panera Bread. Look out for the newsletter, everyone who signed up.
okay. The Panera Bread in North Park on Wednesday for text banking.
Yeah. And then what else? And then the Dallas Yang Gang Coffee Social Saturday morning, 10 a.m. And Fort Worth Coffee Social Saturday morning, 10 a.m. So they happen at the same time.
And as always, if you cannot make a Dallas Yang Gang events because it's too far away, you can start your own.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, ask us. Go to our Texas Resources page. There is a PowerPoint on how they talk about the Freedom Dividend.
Yeah. So we have a lot of resources. If someone lives in Waxahachie or wherever, we can help you guys get started. Follow us on social media. We're DFW Yang on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And on YouTube, please subscribe. so you can get all of these juicy videos and also all these juicy announcements. I think that's it. We'll be doing, I think we'll be doing our next live stream on next Tuesday, not this Tuesday.
Next
Wait,
Tuesday.
are we doing next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Okay, so we're next Tuesday, and we'll see you then. All right, thanks, guys. Bye now. Dang,
Thanks for showing up, man. That's awesome.
Hold on, it's
I'm
trying to at the end. There you go.
Why can none of y'all work my Mac?